Hello and welcome to Fake Swords,
Real Feelings. I was
Um,
really hoping I could do that one by myself, just the real feelings part.
oh shit! Well, okay.
Usually we kind of share it.
You're right. I'm being greedy in this relationship.
Yeah, you are.
Hello. Take two.
Hello.
Hello and
Hello.
welcome to. Stop it now. Hello and welcome to Fake Swords.
Real feelings.
So this is a thing you're doing.
Yeah, I don't know how much I can do it because I think my only exposure to like sports commentator is in like dodgeball.
Yeah,
And
that's
Anchorman, so,
my
like-
entire exposure is from them and like the 2 games of Madden I was made to play in college.
Yeah.
And just so you all know, this isn't real.
You're disrupting the magic. Okay, this is showbiz.
It goes into this rock. The rock actually has nothing on Fake Swords Real Feelings is real. The rock is not real.
It's not a rock.
Here, plug yourself into this. And see if
The
it
dagger
happens.
didn't even last. Like, what? This is a Bluetooth speaker. If you have something that can connect via Bluetooth to this,
Yeah.
why then would you connect a set of headphones to it? Why not just connect your headphones to the thing that's...
It's an auxiliary cord. In case your thing doesn't have Bluetooth, it goes like. Look at you
Oh,
with the
that makes
modern
sense.
conveniences.
That makes sense.
You've forgotten how we lived.
I actually have forgotten how we lived. Yeah. No, I have.
I'm relatively certain you would have been the one to order this in as well. I got it a long time.
Yeah. That is a little...
Turn
I
it
don't
around.
think-
You're breaking the illusion.
Sorry, but now it's the nature office is not having it today. It's your fault for putting the staff so close to the camera. You're like, oh, I want to show off my nice fancy staff with my nice Halloween. I'm gonna put it as far in front of the frame as I can.
It looks
It's a bold strategy, Jim. Let's see if it pays off.
It looks so fucking good, doesn't it?
Okay, I'm not sure if I want to be a sports person anymore. It also sounds real weird.
Yeah, it's because it's not plugged into anything. It's just blocking your ears. This is about LARP.
Supposedly. Not just any LARP, Empire LARP. And not just any Empire LARP, E2.
E2, which
And not just any E2, E2 2023.
2023, which is just come and gone. Is that on or is that just reflecting light?
I don't know.
You keep doing the show. I'm gonna check if the microphone is on.
Right, so yeah. This, I know you're really kind of used to a very well-polished, well-structured show from us. This is probably not going to be that because a lot happened at E2. So much so that I think we're not going to go through our, I gotta say usual, even though we've only ever done one recap before, but we're not going to, we're going to break away from our chronological recap. I think maybe kind of just focus on like the events because we had a kind of like a very different games. this
Yeah,
time around.
completely. If you watched the last one, yeah, it was all different, like we were hoping it was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even get to do a lot of the stuff I said I was looking for, but I still had a great time. It was very, very different.
Yeah.
So maybe you want to just like jump into that. We can kind of like
Yeah.
go through what we did individually first, and then there's like a few like group bits that I've done here that we could maybe talk about separately, maybe in the next episode.
I thought that said mech, and I was like, did I miss a mech?
No, you didn't. I just have terrible handwriting.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. What's Blackthorn 2?
Remember the people who came to...
Oh yeah.
they introduced it. Their
Right.
name was also Blackthorn.
Well, let's fucking go. So let's jump straight in.
Okay, so
Well, first I'm going to talk briefly about.
oh, you're gonna talk.
Yeah, because this is the scribblings of a fool.
you, this is your fault. You let like
These,
you're
like the 2 big things for us
What do you
aren't
think-
even on here.
What are the 2 big things?
Like my new character and you becoming an Earl. Oh, this page.
There's 2 pages.
Oh.
There's 2 pages.
This is going to be a 2-parter.
Yeah, 100%. Just jump right into your. See, you went off on your own little adventures.
I was having a time.
So Jim, scrap everything. Pretend the last like 6 minutes of content doesn't exist. Welcome to Fake Swords Real Feelings. So Jim, how was your event? What did you get up to this Caspian?
It was good. New character, new me. Yeah.
How did you find it? So in the last episode we were kind of doing our our look at and kind of what our plans were. Obviously, you were really looking forward to playing Caspian, and kind of being able to bring in new energy and kind of a bit more of a dynamic roleplay. How did that all work out for you?
Like that.
Great.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was like it felt liberating, because I know I had said at the last episode that Finton was kind of like constricted in his position and what he was doing, and as well I was like holding the lance back because I was in a position I didn't really care for, like, you know. And then to just step away from that and play Cass, who is very much flying by the seat of his pants.
Very much so.
Embodying that spring magic, just pure chaos, is like spiritually liberating.
Nice.
It is the difference between standing in a guard like this and going woo with a staff, you know. He paid off. I won't dwell on it because he'll reveal himself through the stories or whatever, I'm sure, but like very much happy with how he turned out, both in like the play style, the martial play style, and I had no idea what character was coming out of this. Like the second we stepped in, even when Time-In rang, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this character, right? You know? And we were like, literally, Time-In happened, and we were there to honor guard the Dawn March, the Barons March, and it went by, and I had been like 10 minutes beforehand still joking about, oh, what accent am I going to use? Is he going to be Italian, you know?
Spoiler, he wasn't.
He wasn't, and we have Elijah to thank for that. But Time-In happened and I hadn't made any decisions, so I was like, I'll stand quietly for a bit and think about it. And then Elijah walks up, one of our friends, Jack, playing a Varushkin, and starts talking to me, and I'm like, oh, and just immediately fell into roleplay. And at first I was doing like, for there's solid 2 sentences where I was like being Finton, and then I was like, what? And I had to change dynamically and quickly, and somehow I landed on Labrador. But big
Labrador / golden retrieve energy from Caspian, I think.
Like really leaning into the himbo shit.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was great for me. Do you want to talk about this, or we'll wait until that is the story for your side of things, I think, right? Because mine was a Time-In job, whereas there was a little bit of stuff happening.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Because obviously these two things are quite intrinsically linked, you know? So obviously, with Jim now playing Caspian instead of Finton, and Finton off doing whatever the fuck, it was left to old Tiggy to be the Earl. So yeah, I decided to kind of play Tig very much kind of a reluctant Earl, because he is, you know, like it was never Tig's ambition to be Earl. Even like when Finton became like the Lance Commander and stuff, like Tig was never once even had his eye on even that type of position or anything, you know. And I think in my canon for Tig in downtime when he's doing like off with his military unit, it's very much like a case of like we're all just other like people from Glade Warden who are off fighting things in trees, you know.
Fucking Raymond E. Feist shite.
Yeah, and like not so like yes, I technically am in charge, but I'm not. I don't think Tig ever saw himself as a leader. Yeah. So it's very much kind of like, you know, I want to see what that's like, and so obviously I had to. Everyone knew out of character, but like had to like break the news to everyone. So first had to gather Glade Warden around, break the news to them. Couldn't break it to Nimia because they were off healing in the hospital.
Doing actual shit.
Very important stuff. And then obviously got the heartbreaking news that Dorian is leaving Glade Warden as well.
That was particularly hard for Cass.
Yes, because you had
no, we've never actually met.
You'd met his uncle.
No, I had met his uncle, but the last time I had met Dorian, he was like 10 and being the little presence on the ship. So, but no, that was very sad, because he was like, they were handing over the Glade Warden seal, and we insisted they should keep it if they ever need us and stuff. So that was really cool. That was a good little bit of roleplay to kick off with.
Yeah, and I think that kind of like really set the tone for me as Tig for the entire weekend, because obviously I completely forgot, like, OC that Zeb, like that Dorian was doing.
A test of metal. Dude, I almost forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was such a good thing they did.
Yeah, and like, just with everything else that was going on, and then, like, he came up and I was like, oh, yes, this, I need to, like, do that, and like, stuff as the Earl Tig just got getting thrown at me, and
that's what happens when you're an Earl. And shit just keeps coming at you.
That was like in the first like 15-20 minutes. I was like, okay, but like it was actually super cool. So their test of metal was to kill a monster worthy of Blade Warden.
It was to kill a monster they deemed worthy of Blade Warden.
Yes.
So there was no doubt they could kill a monster, but the test of metal was, do you know the house well enough to find a monster the Earl will deem appropriate?
Yeah. Which is very cool. And so Dorian decided that they had killed a slaver, like a slaver captain, and it was just a very nice touch.
Understood the brief.
Yeah. But what it was even better than that is that they brought like a prop hand.
They had like a human hand in a bloodstained fucking cloth wrap.
Yeah. So I think I'm actually going to get that like preserved so it can be like hung up at the camp or something, and to be like, Blade Warden did that, you know, which I think is going to be really cool. So thank you, Dorian and Zeb, for that little just plunge into Earl game.
I'm going to come back to that probably in the next episode, but just remember that there's a dismembered hand hanging around the camp, because that's going to be very funny later.
Okay, I don't think I even know what this part is about. But yeah, and then kind of from that, I then told the other Earls of the Alliance of the Lance, Diota and Guinevere, and was kind of like, hey, can you teach me how to be an Earl? I am unfortunately in this position. And they're like, unfortunately? Do you not really want this? I was like, no, you have to teach me what's going on, which is great. So like, now Diota, unfortunately, didn't get as much time with her as I would have liked, but there's a very big and understandable reason for that, which we'll get into.
Very cool reason.
Very cool. So thankfully, Lady Guinevere kind of like took me under her arm, was like giving me tips. One thing actually, like her first tip was like always walk in front. So like that's why like we were always at the front. She's like, nope, Tig, with me. We're like up here. And I was like, okay. I'm just like following along, being like, I know what I'm doing.
Like puppy Earl.
Basically a puppy Earl.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like find my feet and stuff. But we had a lot of fun kind of doing that and exploring that sort of thing. And then I went to my first Earls Council, which was actually quite interesting because it was it was all about the elections, the senator elections.
Yeah.
Because I know you had said to me before that, like, obviously you didn't really enjoy the Earls Council.
No.
And I don't know which one it was you went to, but I don't think there was anything much happening.
No.
But at least this was quite exciting, and it was like, you know, there was 4 people going for senators' positions, and they're all kind of, stating their case. It was a nice way because I've also been getting, like, OC really interested in the greater world of things. So I was kind of like, for me as a player, I was kind of like, it's actually interesting to kind of see the inner machinations of Dawn and what's going on.
Yeah.
And then obviously as Tig, I was like, this is like a battlefield I'm not ready for. Was how I was thinking about it.
That's cool.
And I was like, Earl Durandal was like talking, and I was like, equate, like, because I had seen him fight in the tournament, I'm like, oh, so this is also another way of fighting. It's like my way of like trying to latch onto things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was really interesting. I didn't go to the Earls Council on the Saturday, and I don't know if I'm going to go to lots of them, but I think I'll go to maybe like one a summit. Yeah. See what's on, if there's anything of interest. But yeah, and then we kind of just did like a fair bit of me to bring Tig and Caspian back in. Kind of after that was all done, we went for like a little walk. Because that was Friday, wasn't it?
That was Friday.
Yes. I don't know what you got up to in that period, so maybe you can like refresh us or regale us of anything that like
a lot of the event I was just walking around, like walking up to people and being like, oh hello, I'm Sir Caspian of House Blade Warden, how are you? Nice to meet you. To try and just get as much info, because his whole thing is he wants to know everything, you know. And I was just kind of doing that for a long time at the start on the Friday, like just walking around, kind of letting Anvil wash over me a bit, like.
Yeah.
And
which is something like I know you had said before that, like, because I remember in our first year going, obviously the very first time we just spent a lot of time just walking around and being like, so cool, and then you'd go, I think there's one event where I was there and I was just like taking a break or something, and you're like, okay, I'm going off for like a hold up.
You were mourning Finton.
Yes.
Yes. I was like, well, I am. Oh no, you were mourning Ronan. So I was like, okay, well, I'm Ronan. So I'm gonna go. I just went for a hood up walk, but it's like become a tradition of mine now at Anvil, which is when it's kind of getting a little later, where, like, you know, Traders Row and stuff is still busy, but the sun is dipping, and the visibility isn't that good. I'll throw a hood up, put my earpods on with like fantasy music, like, you know, fucking BioWare soundtrack or something on, and just do a walk around Anvil and just let it wash over me that way. But I always make sure that it's like not interrupting anyone else's game, so it's always like one of these I don't want to be interacted with hood up kind of thing. But I would recommend doing it just once. I'm probably going to stop because I shouldn't be doing it, I don't think. But it's like, it's fun. It's fun, and I don't think it bothers anyone. So
no, I mean, like, it's not noticeable. It's but anyway, myself, us two, and then Lady Guinevere went for a walk, and I don't know why we went to the marches.
It's because you were going somewhere with Brad. He had to do something at God. And then there's a big queue, so we were like, oh, we've never seen the marches properly. Let's go up there.
This is it, exactly. And then as we were walking up, there's like whispers of like
a fight,
like a scrap of break
like,
in.
A fight's about to happen.
And we're like, all right, well, where's this fight, you know? And then Caspian revealed that he's a financial wizard.
Yes.
Which is a great story.
Because one of the things is Caspian isn't sure if he's magic or not.
It's just so silly.
He thinks he might just be strong. Because his only two abilities are Shatter and Repel. So he's like, I'm not sure I'm actually magic. I'm saying the words, but I really do feel like I'm just pushing them far and breaking shit. But he is financially magic. And this was a very fun little sequence of events. So we got up to the marches, and it turns out that there was this fight going to happen, and it was the best fist fighter in the league versus the best fist fighter in the marches, and they were taking bets. Supposedly, yeah. I can't remember their names.
I feel like that the league person was something like Tongs or Tawns.
It was Tongs or something. Yeah, it was like, I remember it being like a tool.
Yes,
or like
it was a very unusual name.
Yeah.
And the marcher was probably called like fucking Steve Severson or Potato Spudskin or something, I don't know.
Yeah. But anyway, they were fighting, and they were going to take bets. So a big thing is I was playing into that, like, nobility doesn't really know, do the money kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, I'll bet on it. And they were like, all right, how much do you want to bet? And I was like, oh, I don't know the different coins. I have, and I like pulled out the little pouch, and I was like, I have the round ones with the writing on, the metal ones. And they were like, oh yeah, and the big kind of golden brownie one, do you have one of them? And I was like, I played it safe. And I was like, no, my yo-folk took them all off me. But I went over and I bet. It was very funny, just from my little thing. I went over and I made it my bet or whatever. It was just 5 rings, but I came back to Tig and Guinevere, and I was like, I made the bet. I just bet it all. And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, I bet it all, you know? I'm confident in her ability. And they were like, oh, good God.
Now, to be fair, she was doing a load of badass spin jump kicks.
That's
so,
right, yeah.
I mean, you made, on paper, you made the right bet.
I did. On paper I made the wrong bet, because I thought she was the marcher.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, put it all on the marcher. I'm doing the jump kicks. So I inadvertently bet on both people. Like, it was a quantum superposition, my bet. But it was a real heads I win, tails you lose kind of thing. But the fight happened anyway, and we got real into like, I was like, turn another jump kick, use your knee.
Yeah, it's basically we were basically having a Pokemon battle with them.
Yeah, and they dragged it out, and then they dragged each other around, and they were throwing each other around and throwing jump kicks, and then she went down, and I was like, oh no, my money. I leaned into you, and I was like, would you mind just having her stay with you very quickly? So Tig walked out into the middle of the ring and was like, stay with me, which caused a moment of confusion because they were obviously grifters.
Yeah.
She had to pretend like she was injured so she could then get up for another 40 seconds of combat, and then she was put down again.
Yeah.
And I was like, Cass was like loudly complaining that he lost everything. So some marcher came over and was like, oh, what's after happening? And I was like, I've lost it all. She was doing spinning kicks, so I thought it was a sure thing, but I'm after losing everything. And he pulls out a crown and he's like, oh, that's rough, buddy. And he like just gives me the crown, and I'm like, brilliant, I'm up 15 rings. So I put it in my pocket.
It's just so great.
And then like not 12 seconds later, some kid comes up and is like, excuse me, I'm selling magic runes. And I was like, oh wow. So I was like, what are these? And they were like, they're, and the kid didn't even know what they were. They were like, oh, these are.
He said that they're virtue runes at first.
They're virtue runes, and so then that was a cool bit of like.
Oh yeah, Caspian kind of like
role play, because I'd done my bit of study on the magic stuff. So I was like to be like, no, these don't actually represent the virtues. These are the runes. This is what we use for casting and for enchantments, and this is how we channel our magic through runes. And I was like, so the trick for you to sell these is, and then suddenly I let slip that Cass might be a little sharper than than he lets on, you know. And I was like, as you find somebody who looks a little magical like me, and you look at the main symbol they're selling, you match it to your thing, and then you sell them that, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, try it on me, and they found Sular, and they were like, oh, this one. And I was like, perfect, yes, how much is that? And they were like, 15 rings! And I was like, yes. So I just gave the 15 rings I had made back, or I gave the crown, and then they were like, oh, and here's 5 rings change. And I was like, perfect! And I got the cool little thing. So my financial magic was that I walked into that situation, spent so much money, somehow came out with the same amount of money and a magic icon.
So good.
Yeah, it was very fun. It was just 5-10 minutes of roleplay, like, but it really helped me discover Cass as a character, like, you know.
It was at that I was like, okay, yeah, Jim's really getting into his new character. It's really good to see. And then I think after I want to say we went to the Hollow World, but I can't be sure.
We did, because we went. We were standing there laughing about that, and then Molly just goes, "Oh fuck, Brad!"
Oh yes.
We had been there for like 40 minutes and just left him.
Not even that. Like we were supposed to be having like a Lance meeting,
which you guys had rescheduled without telling anyone. Typical Earl thing. You were like, we were to have a Lance meeting at 7, and like
me like Tig went over like, oh, we'll just make that 8, and we're like, yeah, fine. Just didn't tell.
You were like, we pushed it back. We can push it back. Like you made it 8 and didn't tell anyone. So everyone was there at 7, and the Earls just didn't show up. And then when we were out at the field, I was watching you, and you were like, oh, it's almost 8. Oh, we'll push it back to 9. I was like, you should tell someone these things.
That's why we need retainers.
Yeah, but we
anyone out there wants to be a retainer.
Yeah, we need seneschals and we need retainers.
Yeah.
So fucking quick.
We can't be trusted.
Yeah, but fucking. Then we walked back down towards kind of like, you know, the entrance where God was, where the march came through. Yeah. And Tori just happened to be there.
Yes.
And Cass was like, Tori, I did magic. It was financial magic. And they were looking at me like, the fuck? But then they were like, oh yeah, let's, you know, I got to go to the Hall of Worlds. Do you want to come with? Do you want to see the inside of it? Which was something that Tori had been really excited to show Cass.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen inside it. And that became a whole funny thing because Teddy was there too. So Cass was like running through his magical theories with Teddy, like I'm not magic, I'm just strong. So this is how we're going to check if I'm actually magic or not to open the portal into the Hall of Worlds. so we went up that way, and Cass was real scared. So I was playing him very scared of magic because he had no clue what it all was. You know, his whole life he'd just been a sword fighter, and then suddenly like sparkle powers. So he was like terrified of everything. And I made it that he was bricking it and wasn't going to go into the Hall of Worlds because he had developed a fear that if
you thought you were going to lose your identity or something.
He was going. It was like, you know, I'd never teleport because if I die and another me walks out. I was like, I'm giving him that fear of it. So like, Tori was like teaching him how to do it, and then like just put the book of runes in his hand and was like, right, this page teaches you how to operate a portal, and then just disappeared into the hall. And he was like, fuck me, I don't know how to do this, I'm scared. But then like Teddy was like talking him through it, but
That's
then he turned around and he was like, I don't want to do it, I'm scared. And Guinevere was like, what are you scared of? And I was like, what if I die when I go through the portal? Or what if I end up in some other dimension or realm and another Cass, an evil Cass, walks back? And then there was a real good bit of roleplay where Guinevere was like, well, why don't I'll ask you a question and you give me the answer, and only good Cass will know the answer. And I'm like, oh yeah, that works. So they're like, what's your name? What's the name of your ship? And I was like, the Crack. And she was like, perfect. Okay, well now I'll ask you that when you come back out. So I jumped in, and then lots of tomfuckery in there was great because Tori was like really had like a sense of reverence for the place. And I was like, and this is where we do this, and I was like, oh, they have flowers in here too. Candles and books, because it's like really fancy in there.
Someday I'll go in and see what it's like.
You can go in with a Night Protector, I think. If you're not magic, a Night Protector can get you in. But basically, I think Tori was like, and this is how XYZ, and we do this, that, and the other. And I played it that Cass was just bored. So like he was fucking around balancing his staff on his foot and stuff. And then Tori's like, are you listening to me? And I was like, oh, me? Yes.
Which is such a reversal of
it was just a little bit of a fucking get back at them. But so that was really fun. And then being afraid to go back out for the same reason again. But this time I was afraid everyone else would be evil. But again, there was a really good roleplay between me and Teddy where they like psyched me up and coached me through it, and then I like made a big point of like jumping out of the tent, and then like Guinevere came running over like, what's the name of your ship? And I was like, the Crack! And we were like, oh. So I worked out that yes, Cass was actually magic, which is incredible.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
What also is incredible is that we're at 30 minutes.
Are we at 30 minutes?
Yes.
So that was a really fun little kind of introduction to the magic side of things.
That's fun. Yeah, that is fun.
Trying to think what else happened then on the Friday.
On the Friday night, a really, really fun thing happened, which has now led to something that, well, at least other members of Guild One are going to do, which is, of course...
that was really fun.
Yeah, absolute mega props. I wish I remembered that priest's name.
Her name was Sam.
Okay,
and her partner was CJ, I think.
That sounds familiar, yes.
Yeah, I can't remember her IC name.
Yes, okay.
I wish I'd gotten it, because she's now my priest, I've decided. She's now my current priest. But Sam was the player's name. But just very quickly, we should touch on this first, because that was a big part of why Cass did what he did.
I see that's such a big part. I was gonna maybe leave that to the end.
Okay, right. Well, no, that's fair.
Because it's a big
cliffhanger.
It is a cliff. That'd be a nice cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: there's gonna be a cliffhanger.
So, something happened that I had said I want Cass, his whole thing to be...
Is that why you did it?
Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah,
for sure. Because something happened that was putting the Lance in danger. So I had deliberately...
And fear a little bit.
And fear, yeah. For sure.
Well, maybe not fear, but on edge.
Yeah, 100%. So I kind of knew this was going to happen, and I knew I was going to want Cass's like virtue to be courage. So I deliberately came in playing him scared to give a little bit of a run up to that, you know, a little tiny bit of development. So something happened back at our camp that we'll get to later, that made Cass decide.
It was very cool.
Yeah, I need more courage to deal with this.
Yeah.
So he decided that, because one of Finton's last goals was I wanted to get his weapon hallowed, and that was more of a gym goal because I thought it would be cool. I was going to get Facetaker hallowed to Pride, who got bent on the way back. He's kind of curvy now. But yeah, I said I'm going to keep that as one of Cass's first goals because I gave Cass 3 objectives going into Anvil. And I said, these are my 3 quests for this event, just get them done. And I got them all done on the Friday. But one of them was to hallow the staff to courage. So I asked Decimus, who is the Lance Priest, because I don't know anything about the priest game at all.
Yeah, me neither.
And I was like, I know you can get your weapon kind of blessed or hallowed, anointed, whatever it is. Hallowed, I know now. I was like, how can I do that? And where do I find a courage priest? No, Decimus, because of what happened, was like, I can't help you with this right now. I got bigger shit going on.
Yeah, much bigger shit.
But he was like, you can either go to when all the priests meet on Saturday, or you can go, and he was like, he kind of just offhand, he's like, maybe try Varushka. Lots of priests there. And I was like, cool, yeah, no problem. So I think I swooped you up. I was like, I'm going to Varushka to get the staff hallowed.
It's also like so far away. Like there's 100% courage priest in Dawn. Like there has to be.
Also, Varushka is my favorite place to hang out at night. It's just so cool with all the fires and everybody's so friendly and welcoming. Like, but yeah, so we made our way to Varushka, and it was quite late at this time. People were kind of sitting around their own fires and stuff.
Yeah, it was dark, and obviously it was June, so it was like after 10 o'clock. It was
11:30, I'd say. It was very late.
It was,
I left it too late in the day to go looking for a story like this, but I said, fuck it, I'll give it a try anyway. So we went to Varushka, and we walked into kind of, you know, the main, I don't know if it's the main bit or not, but it's the main bit I've interacted with where the big fire is.
Yeah.
And then
I would refer to that as the main part as well, only because it's got that big fire.
Yeah. We went there, and we kind of, everyone was kind of doing their own thing, and one Varushkan happened to be walking around, and I kind of went up to them and was like, I'm sorry, I'm looking for a courage priest. And they were like, yeah, that tent.
Yeah, I was like literally right beside us. We're like, oh, okay.
Cool, yeah. So, but the tent was closed, and I was like, oh, I feel weird knocking on a tent, like, you know? So we were kind of trepidatiously making our way up to it, and someone was like, who are you looking for? And I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, I need a courage priest. I want to hallow my staff. And they were like, there are only 2 courage priests in Varushka. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And they said, such and so, I'll help you find him. And then this person,
and like one of them couldn't hallow or something like that.
No, we didn't know that. They didn't know that. So they brought us into like this tent where like some people were drinking around the table, and they were like, hey, such and so. And they were like, what? And it's like, I need someone to hallow this staff. I can't hallow. Oh, okay. Find the other courage priest. They were like, I don't know where they are. They just walked into that bar. They were like, oh, okay. So then they walked up, and we met outside CJ, who is this priest's partner.
Oh, this also comes to the
brass coats,
the wildest,
which is something absolutely wild. Then
actually, okay, I forgot about that until just right now.
To this point, we had gone hard on selling the Blade Warden.
Well, we'll get to that because I also want to give I want to give a shout out to our fellow Mascots and stuff. So keep going on the priest story. The priest story.
Okay, so anyway, we met. Something else great happened that we will again get to, but we need these to be more structured.
No,
but
this is actually surprisingly structured.
Yeah, looking at these notes, yeah.
Ignore this, alright?
So then we met CJ, who is also lovely, who's the partner of this courage priest Sam,
and also her. In character was like I am her wife and also her whatever. And it was like I'm her it was something like, first and wife second.
yeah. It was like I can't remember what it was.
I don't know what the term is. Yeah.
But anyway, Sam was drinking in the bar, so we were kind of like waiting for them to be finished. Yeah. And then CJ's just like, nah, fuck it, I'm a go-getter. And I was like, no, don't interrupt the drink. She's like, fuck it. And she just goes in and brings out this priest with like amazing kit, like long silver hair.
Yeah,
like, all this
looked really cool.
Shit, like really cool kit. And I was like, I need this hallowed. And I can't remember the ins and outs of it because it was actually quite a long process. They really did really well with it. But the first
bit that sticks out in my mind was they were like, do you have the liao for this ceremony? And I had got some from Decimus, and I was like, yes, here you go. And they're like, okay, don't tell anyone how I do this. And they put it on the staff, took the staff, and go like, I was like, that's so funny. They and then they started into the ceremony, and they were like, which way do you want it? And I didn't know this at all, but each hallowing has like 8 different ones you can do. So like our Brass Coast friend, our Freeborn friend, had like the manual with all the different hallowings in it, thankfully. So I chose I can't remember the actual name of it. I don't think it says it on this. But it was basically blind courage, really. I chose that, like, it'd be very hard to dissuade me from something I think is the right thing to do. But they started giving it like moving the staff around and doing all the magic and stuff to it. And they're like, when you hold the staff, does a name come to you? And I had hoped they'd say something like that, because I had an idea in my head for it. Because Cass is so spring magic, he's all about like rain and oceans and like chaotic stuff. And I was like, yes, like whenever I use it, the word torrent is present in my head,
which is a great name for a staff,
right? Torrent is a fucking class name for a staff. And they were like, torrent, and they were like super into it, and they're like, yes, I like this, but it needs 2 names, it needs an adjective in there. And they were like doing like little katas with it and stuff. And they were like, you're going to use this to fight the enemy line? And I was like, no, I'm going to use it to go through the enemy line. And they were like, I like this. And then they were like, this is Dauntless Torrent. And I was like, yes, it is. And then they did all this cool roleplay, and they were like, a name I'm sure you will come to be called by as well. And I was like, well, there's Cass's ambition, to become the Dauntless Torrent. And then they like hallowed it, and the 3 of us walked to God to like actually get the ribbon and stuff. And that's where I actually got talking to them. And they've been playing the game for ages and stuff. And they were like telling me a bit about Varushka, and how like, I didn't know this, but Varushka has a lot of kind of like older players, or players with like less mobility and stuff. And because a lot of it is like welcoming people to your hearth, and then also its proximity to God means like you're not trekking across the whole field. So that's like an OC thing I didn't know about Varushka, which probably is why it has so much cool flavor and stuff. It's got a much more diverse crowd in it, like,
that's cool. I like that.
But like if you happen to be watching this, Sam and CJ, you guys were great. That really made my Friday night. Thank you very much. Also, I went back to find you to pay you the few rings for the priest. Couldn't find you. I'll find you at the summer event, I guess.
I did pay the Brass Coast, the Freeborn, 1 ring for a typical Brass Coast. It was like, I went through all this effort to take this single piece of paper. The least you can do is pay me a ring. I was like, yeah, fine.
But I have to. My plan had been to go and if I couldn't find them, just leave a drink at the counter for them, like pay for their first drink.
Nice.
Which I might do coming up to and just say it's from Dauntless Torrent or something like that,
Nice, that's cool.
But if you see this, don't listen to that last bit. So that was just really fun roleplay.
That was really fun roleplay. And then the coincidence that we're talking about. So in our E2 planning episode, obviously we talked about like the lofty plans for Glade Warden to finally make some money. Which
we did good this
actually
time.
Not bad.
We did it.
We did it. 3 things were to thank for that, really. One was your great like box of things.
Yes, my treasures from my travels. My travel treasures.
And so shout out to Shane, who plays Matthias, for being our little stand-in seneschal for that. That was great. Then we have the wonders of alcohol to thank for Tori actually selling some.
He just got flutered and went on a mad sales run.
But that brings us to sorry, I'll get to that. And then a third, some of our Irish friends who were in the Brass Coast, the Zuri family.
And there's a few other families, I just can't remember the names.
Yes, I want to say it's Haim, but I could be pronouncing that terribly wrong.
Yeah, I'm not even going to take a run at it.
Yeah, you know who you are anyway. So thank you for we basically approached them, and they offered to sell some on our behalf, which is great because we can't sell them for shit. And so, but yeah, the wildest thing happened after Tori went on their little like.
If you want to read the Glade Warden, I'll include a link in the video description to last
the first edition, and then you can see what it's about.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, so there'll be a PDF of the first Glade Warden down here somewhere. It's just doing some cyber pointing.
Cyber pointing? Can we? Oh my god, make me look into a cyberpunk or like a hacker man.
No. You always do this.
I know.
You always do this.
And you always make it look somewhat okay. So
No, I don't. Okay, go on.
So Tori went on the mad one selling they were just walked right into people as we're having like big serious
Like
discussions.
serious conversations like, you want to know how to sword fight?
But it worked!
Yeah, he sold one.
I think
on the Friday he sold one.
I thought he sold more than one.
No, he only that
was the only
that's why it's completely blown my mind that this happened.
So one Blade Warden got sold.
And this was at like 5 or 6, right? No, it would have been 7.
No.
7. It was still broad daylight, like.
Yes, yeah, it was relatively early.
3 to 4 hours before the Halloween.
Yes.
Like it was a long time before.
Yeah.
On the other side of the field.
And so this one person, gets basically bullied into buying a Glade Warden. But that happened to be the same person who took out the like manual on.
Because no, it was like there was an even more layer of like what the fuckness to it, because they weren't going to open their bag, but they were like, oh, I can't find it. Hold on, I'm just going to dump everything on the ground. And they, like, out of their bag, this person I'd never met before, just like dumped a load of documents, and right on the top of it.
And me and Jim are both like,
and we were
is
like,
that the Glade Warden?
Is that a fucking Glade Warden? And they were like, what? And I was like, that I wrote that. And I picked it up, and it was the spring edition, or the was that the autumn?
Yes, the spring edition. Yeah, the
I
one
was like,
just.
Is that the fucking spring edition? I was like, I wrote this yesterday. How is this in your bag?
Just so, yeah, what a wild coincidence.
Yeah, just like however many people were in that field. I'm not going to give a number because somebody gave out to me in the first episode of this.
Tens of thousands.
75,000 people in the field.
Yeah.
And we just happened to find the one person that Tori had managed to sell a Glade Warden to hours ago on the other side of the field, and it falls out of their bag at my feet. Like, it's insane. We live in a simulation, confirmed.
Yeah.
They obviously only loaded X amount of assets, so it fell out of the bag.
Yes.
Wild.
God, wild.
Okay.
Speaking of other things of we still have some left. Yeah. Game just getting thrown at you as an Earl. I just want to give a nice shout out to Earl and Naira and Sir Guy Wooder for, well, mainly Naira and Guy Wooder, you were there too. Well done. For basically having to do a quasi test of metal for the Emerald Lance.
Yeah.
Which was actually really, really cool. And I was like, you had mentioned it to me, but
I deliberately didn't tell you anything about it because it was Earl game, and I was like, "This is really fun to discover." So I didn't tell you anything about it.
Yeah, and it was I had to like basically judge, Lady Naira's stories of pride, loyalty, and wisdom.
The backstory to that was that Lady Diota didn't like Lady Anira because of something that had happened in a previous event, and that made it hard for Callie's character to be around the camp.
Yeah.
So we came up
and we love Callie, and Callie looked like we're mates, like.
So the 3 Earls back then, so it was like Fintan Gwen and Lady Di, we came up with like an icy way to get them back in, which was a lance test of metal, which was the 3 lances virtues are loyalty, courage, and pride, or whatever it was. You have to prove yourself in each of them, and then that's all I knew about it because I went off doing whatever the fuck.
But no, it was just like, it was a really cool moment. It was one of those things I was like kind of just like thrust into, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm an Earl now. I have responsibilities and stuff. I'm bricking the first time I have to give an actual test of metal. I don't know what I'm going to do.
It was my favorite bit of being an Earl, was giving the test.
Yeah. I think I'm going to think of like some real like out there things, because I reckon like the only one obviously immediately is going to be Nimia asking for one. I don't really know yet what to.
I can think of some cool ones for that.
Yeah, well,
because it's opposed to what we usually do. Usually we put holes in stuff, but she fixes holes in stuff.
Yeah.
So think of a real Blade Warden one and then invert it for healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we'll definitely be able to come up with something cool. But yeah, so I want to mention that because that was a cool moment.
I had a cool idea.
Okay, yeah, go on.
No, I can't because she'll watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Tell me after.
Yeah.
Or tell me now, but we'll like blank it out so it's like real. So it's like real.
Oh yeah.
It's like real saucy.
And audio in 3, 2, 1. Okay.
But she'll definitely die.
No,
100%.
that's not even a bit. Like, I just proposed an extremely dangerous test of metal.
But yeah, okay, we've actually covered quite a lot of stuff. We are about 50 minutes in.
I'd say leave it here, but give our cliffhanger, because the thing that happened in the Emerald Camp was an assassination plot.